All right.
Should show videos and then live. Okay, it's live.
All right. I would like to call the special budget session of the Albany Public Library trustees to order. Thank you everyone for watching. And I'm going to give the floor to Assistant Director Melanie Metzger, who will explain how it works, how to make a comment.
Okay. Yep.
The trustees currently present are Jenna Patera, Karen Strong, Tom McCarthy, Sarah Dallas, Sarah Shearer, and that is it.
Sounds good. So welcome everybody. I just want to let anybody who is watching our stream know that you are allowed to make public comments. We are asking that public comment come in through email at our address, which is publiccomment@albanypubliclibrary.org. That is PUBLICCOMMENT at albanypubliclibrary.org, all one word. And we do not have any public comment currently. We will do another session at the end.
Okay. Seeing as how we have no public comment, I'd like to move to unfinished business, which is the budget draft and the budget proposal.
Well, I guess the plan is
you
that
should all see that in your.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, if everyone has the document available to them. I know we're having board docs issues tonight.
It should be under 3 in board docs. If anybody's having trouble, though, I'm happy to PDF it. And
you should be able to see board docs from the public side. It seems like we're having issues launching it from the other side of things. Yep. But both documents that we need to review tonight are up there and accessible. If we do vote tonight, which is never, which is not the expectation tonight, but if we do vote tonight, we'll just have to do a verbal vote.
So I don't think we can actually officially vote tonight on the budget because Bob has to prepare all those resolutions with the tax cap, although I'm not sure if we need it, but we'll listen to him. And then the specific budget language. So we can't officially approve that, just so that we'll get that out of the way.
I'm terrible at science.
So I think the plan is that I'll just kind of go through the budget like I did at the last meeting, and I guess Scott will jump in wherever he sees fit, and he can talk about the more specific impact on services. So Scott, interrupt me whenever you want.
Okay.
All right, so we'll get going here. We'll start with revenue. I think the 3 revenue lines that are most relevant and the most room for variance, either good or bad, would be the pilot payment line, the fees and sales line, and the interest income line. Just to give everyone an update on the pilot payment, we did receive about $391,000 from the city for the 2020 pilot payment. We were told that the full payment would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $430,000, but they have some delinquent properties that haven't paid them yet. So the question has become, when will those properties pay the city, or if the city can actually collect from them at all? So, I mean, the worst case scenario, I suppose, would be that the $391,000 is all we end up getting. And presumably that would imply that we may have to prepare for a reduced amount in the 21-22 budget. So we'll see. That's still pending.
Adam, were you
So
able
for 21-20, yeah.
were you able to confirm that that $50,000 for the payments came off the list, or there's something else? Because like I understand the difference between
I
430
don't
and
believe that's the,
391.
I believe it's just a matter of, I mean, I haven't really gotten the specifics. My understanding is that it's just a series of properties that haven't actually made their payments to the city.
Right, but that's the
thus
difference
far.
between 391 and 430. What
Not
about the
that
difference between
they've-
430 and 480?
Right. I mean, that's my understanding. I haven't been able to get too much detail out of the city on this, so it's still kind of something that, you know, we're trying to get clarification on why exactly we got the amount that we did. When can we expect the remaining amount? Should we prepare to not get that? I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions there. So I'm still going back and forth with the city about this. So my understanding, though, is that the only reason we didn't get the full $430,000 payment is because that they were unable to collect from certain properties.
Well,
Thank you.
one thing that Adam and I have talked about a little bit is we're trying to get a schedule. There should be a schedule for how long pilot payments go for. We have yet to receive that information, so we're going to reach out again because we should be able to get a sheet that is updated every year from the IDA saying these properties are coming off, these properties are going on, and that's how we can better budget in the future. But for some reason, we haven't gotten, and we requested it, we haven't gotten it yet.
I just want to update that I heard from Arlene. She said she has a conflict and she will join if she can.
Okay, Adam, you want to keep going?
Yeah, I'll continue on. So the next line I think is worth mentioning is fees and sales. You can see that the 21-22 budget, we have it at 14,000, which is a significant reduction over the pre-pandemic 2021 budget of 80,000. And although that is an increase over the 5,000 we have projected for this fiscal year, it's still well below the pre-pandemic budget. So we may get lucky there if we continue to move through the phases and start to open up a little bit more and don't have to take steps back. We may surpass the 14,000. So that's definitely something we're going to be monitoring.
So Adam,
at the same time, if we do.
Adam, if I can step in, basically this estimate, we used, what we did was we used what our income was during certain phases and then tried to do an estimate from there. I think we're being very cautious and being a little more optimistic now. So I do think that we might see a little bit more money in this line. But that really depends on whether or not to be the continual doomsayer of every meeting I'm in, but whether or not there is another wave in the fall. We calculated in those months and decided that, you know, calculating in the possibility of going all the way back to curbside for a few months and how that would impact our revenue. So again, if everything goes right, and science is wrong, this line will be off. Sorry, Karen, I just saw your face. But we have to still build in a cautious budget when it comes to revenue.
Speaking about state funds, it's possible that we'll see the 20% from last year's Central Book Aid and Central Library Development Aid. And if rumor has it, we should see it by the end of March, at the end of the fourth quarter of the state fiscal year.
That would be good news.
All right, so we'll keep moving on. The interest income line, there's a lot of room for variance there. I mean, it was over 100,000, I believe, in 2019. And we're projecting about 40,000 for this fiscal year. So a lot of that depends on the market, things that we can't really predict easily. A lot of that depends on how much of our extra cash we have invested and the quality of those investments. So we decided to go with 60,000 there, which is a slight increase over what we're expecting to see this fiscal year, but still less than we saw in 2019. And so that all adds up to a almost $16,000 increase in revenue over what we're expected to see this fiscal year. Still a significant reduction in other revenue, I should say, from the pre-pandemic 2021 budget. Almost, let's see, close to 200,000, 170,000. So that's a big reason why our unassigned fund balance usage here is 355,000, which is more than we've used in recent memory. And certainly a significantly more that we haven't had to use unassigned fund balance in the last several fiscal years. So that is a pretty significant usage. So if we move on to expenditures, certainly payroll and related costs, that section is the most significant section of the budget. You can see full-time salaries has increased dramatically. The New York State retirement system projected expense has increased dramatically. The payroll taxes line has gone back up to the pre-pandemic levels. We did see some savings due to FFCRA and decreased part-time hours during this pandemic. So those savings are going to go away in 21-22, presumably. And employee benefits, we also bumped that up by 100,000, just increased insurance costs, and HRA usage as well factors into that. Part-time salaries, we did reduce that from the pre-pandemic 2021 budget. We increased it from what we're expected to see this fiscal year. But I think the idea is going into 21-22 is that we're going to be a bit more careful about our part-time scheduling and really try to budget for part-time hours a bit better than we have in the past, and have a bit more of a strict cap on how many hours can be scheduled, by branch, by position. And so that may have an impact on services, just the reduced amount of part-time hours. that we're projecting.
We have to look for some savings across some lines because staffing is 70% of our budget. This was a line that we thought we could find some savings on, but it definitely is going to inform a conversation moving forward about hours of operation because part-time staff are often our weekend and evening hours people. So we're just going to have to do a re-examination. The other thing that we're going to do is working with the heads of branches and business office. We are going to start providing a budget for staffing either on a monthly or quarterly basis, so we can be a little bit more careful and find a little bit of savings in part-time part-time employee salaries. But the full-time employee salaries that is a contract increase, and we can't really, the only thing we can really do there is not backfill positions when they come open and re-examine positions, whether or not we need them when they become open. So it's going to be, this is what I want the board to take away from this is next year is going to be a difficult year, and we may have to make some hard decisions. Simply based on the ability that we will have less flexibility when it comes to staffing.
So as you can see, that all translates to a almost $459,000 increase in payroll and related costs over what we're expected to see this fiscal year. And it's about $160,000 increase over the pre-pandemic total for that section of the budget. So moving on to occupancy costs. We did make a couple of cuts here worth mentioning. We did cut utilities from the pre-pandemic number of 185.4. We cut that down to 160. Building repairs and maintenance, we cut that by $5,000 from the pre-pandemic budget. We did keep service contracts and custodial supplies, vehicle maintenance where they are, where they were pre-pandemic, and furniture and building improvements. That's the most significant cut in this section. We cut that in half by $25,000. So as a result of that, we are seeing some savings there in that section of the budget. $120,000 from what we're expected to see this fiscal year. And just below that, compared to the pre-pandemic 2021 budget.
So we're comfortable cutting the $25,000 from the furniture and building improvements budget line because we've been moving a lot of that work to the capital budget. So we saw significant savings at the end of, or we will see a significant savings, I think, at the end of this fiscal year, if it wasn't for the stuff that we bought, thinking we were going to get reimbursed by FEMA. So this budget, although it kind of went over, this fiscal year, the reality of it is if you take out that 70 grand, the budget would have underperformed or overperformed, depending on how you look at it. So we're pretty comfortable with this cut because we don't think we would touch this budget line with the way we're handling capital improvements now.
Yeah, I will just say the material that we thought we were going to get reimbursed for, that's actually, those were assigned to the custodial supplies budget. So that line is going to, that's why in the budget modification, we increased it pretty significantly by about $56,000. The furniture building improvements line may actually be on track this fiscal year. There were a couple of projects that were taken on and applied to that line. But I would certainly agree that going forward with the advent of the capital fund, we'll be using that more for the types of projects that in the past we would have used that furniture building improvements line for. So yeah, I think we can be confident in our ability to cut 25,000 from that without sacrificing too much, since we do have the capital fund. So we'll move on to materials and services. We did cut 25,000 from books and AV materials from the pre-pandemic 2021 budget. So that is the most significant cut in that area. Obviously, that's aside from salaries, that's our most significant budget line. So a $25,000 cut there is certainly notable. We also cut 20,000 from programming from the pre-pandemic 2021 budget. And aside from that, the central book aid and central library development lines, those correspond with the New York State grant revenue line. So that's kind of an even exchange there. Digital content, we did keep that the same, as well as periodicals. So the most significant cuts there, books and AV and programming, total 45,000 between the two lines. And as a result, we are seeing about 62,000 in savings from what we're expected to do at the end of this fiscal year, and about 53,000 in savings from the pre-pandemic budget. So moving on to administrative and miscellaneous. We did cut office supplies by 5,000 from the pre-pandemic budget. We had to up bank fees by 3,000 from the pre-pandemic budget. We cut memberships, we cut postage, we cut PR, we cut training and travel, we cut community relations. The most significant increase in this section is professional services. We did increase that pretty significantly over the pre-pandemic budget of 124,000. That is primarily due to the expected legal fees that will go along with union contracts negotiations that are coming up. And beyond that, we kept taxer payments where they were. ULON fees went up slightly based on the fee chart that we received from UHLS. And liability insurance, we kept the same as the pre-pandemic budget. So with all those cuts, between those and the increase in professional services, we're only seeing a savings of about 25,000 from the modified 2021 budget. And it's actually an increase over the pre-pandemic 2021 budget. About 16,000. Sorry, 24,000. And then finally, IT, not too much of a change there, only a reduction in IT hardware, about 21,000. Sorry, 11,000 from the pre-pandemic budget. And that comes straight from Melanie's projections. So all in all, even with all those cuts in every area of the budget, we're still looking at fund balance usage of 355,000. So certainly we want to hope for the best in terms of some of these revenue lines. You know, with the cuts that we've implemented here, I don't know that we can project too much variance as far as the expense lines. I don't know that there's any one particular line that we could really save a lot of money on unless we did drastically reduce our operations.
I just want to commend Adam. This is a pretty difficult budget this is his second budget. And not an easy one. I am optimistic that we will see more revenue than we're projecting here, or hopefully hopeful. And again, I think we're gonna need to have some conversations around hours and services. Programming budget, I think programming will increase no matter what next year. So I don't think that $20,000 decrease is really going to adversely affect what we would be providing anyway. There will be a slow rollout of hours. So July isn't that far away. So we'll see where we are in terms of staffing at that moment in time. The big ticket item for next year's budget, of course, is union contract negotiations. So there is a possibility that this is based on how much it cost us last go around. So the hope is that maybe we find a little bit of savings this go around. I guess we'll open the floor up to questions.
It sounds like there's only minor changes since the last version that we saw.
Yeah, we didn't actually change anything since the previous board meeting. I feel like we would have had to run that by the finance committee before formalizing any changes.
I misheard. I thought it was more tweaking, not major changes, but that's fine. I was good with this budget when it was presented to the finance committee. So I'm really pleased with what you've been able to do, acknowledging how difficult it is when not being able to predict anything and being able to do this without raising taxes. I know in the past I've been concerned about the amount of fund balance we use. I don't think this is the year to be concerned about that. Every time we predict we do it, we won't. So there's a chance we won't need it, but we have a large fund balance and this is what it's for, right? It's for times when we have potential revenue shortfalls. And if that does actually happen this year and next year, then that's a different conversation. But I think for now, I feel very comfortable with the budget as written.
Well said, Karen. That was exactly how I felt. I get about dipping into the fund balance, but I think this is our moment to do it. This is why it's there.
One thing that we're going to start doing again, I think after this, is an exercise that we used to do that probably we'll want to do, which is a kind of a 5-year fiscal projection. Because, we'll want to see how far we can go out on fund balance and fund balance usage, with the possibility, I know we've talked about this at finance, with the possibility of moving money from the capital budget to the, unassigned line because of, projections that things are going to be rough in the future. But I'm optimistic and I think we can get this figured out.
I think those 5-year projections were so helpful. There's just too many unknowns right now. We just have to put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. And what we'll do is we'll work in the projections. We'll probably go best case, but best case will kind of give us a good idea of what we need to do, strategically manage the budget moving forward. No other questions, concerns?
I'd like to thank Scott and Adam for pulling together this budget and being able to explain it so clearly. It takes a lot of knowledge and talent to do that, and thank you for helping us do our job.
That's the nicest thing anyone said to me all week. So thank you.
Yeah, I think this is a good job. It's unfortunate to start to think about changes to part-time staffing. We haven't talked about that in relation to that number until today. But still, I think this is a good budget, and I think it'll keep us doing the things that we want to do for the most part for the next year.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I have a foundation meeting going on in about 5 minutes. After a meeting with City Hall, I'm going to be done by the end of this evening.
So you're saying this is the highlight of your evening?
Oh, hands down the highlight. No, I had a really good meeting with Melanie. Melanie and I had one of our better one-on-one meetings. So this is the second best meeting today.
Oh,
So.
that's good. Should I call for public comment a second time before? So at this time, I'd like to check to see if there are any public comments.
And confirming there are none.
Seeing as there are no public comments, I'd like to propose adjourning our special budget meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a
Second.
second?
Second.
So that was Trustee Dallas was our first, and Trustee Strong was our second. And so I'd like to, I don't have a script for this.
I just sent you one.
Thank you. So good, Karen. I'm in the wrong email. I'm sorry. Okay. This will resolve quickly. It wants me to verify. Thank you. So I'd like to do a vote. Sorry, I only have one screen, so I'm doing this poorly. So Sarah, how do you vote for adjourning the meeting?
Which Sarah?
Sarah, you.
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Tom?
Oh, yes.
Sarah Dallas?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. So we have unanimously voted to adjourn the special budget meeting of the Albany Public Library Board of Trustees. It's lovely to spend a Tuesday with all of you. And I look forward to speaking with you